Welcome back, everybody. Well, as many of you know, I'm a breast cancer survivor. I'm a little over 2.5 years now, and I'm going strong, knock on wood. And early in my diagnosis, I had an opportunity to meet a doctor by the name of Dr. Jay Harness. He has been my mentor through my diagnosis, helping me and offering input and advice every step of my journey, which sometimes was not very much fun. He flew over from Orange, California for an exclusive interview this morning, and he's the medical director for Breast Cancer Answers. Thank you so much for coming over.
Hey, Lisa, it's always, you look fabulous, darling.
Well, thank you.
You look fabulous.
Well, and you know, I just have to say thank you for all of those Sunday nights when you would call me from Orange, California saying, all right, Lisa, sit down,
Right.
Let's talk.
Take a deep breath.
Take a deep breath.
Right.
Where are you at?
Yeah.
And that meant the world to me.
Yeah.
And now I know you're the medical director for Breast Cancer Answers. Quickly tell everybody a little bit about that.
Well, Breast Cancer Answers is the first ever social media show. We're on the major social networks such as Facebook, Twitter, Google+, StumbleUpon, etc. And the concept has been to provide people with layperson answers about issues around breast cancer. And we've been up and running 10 months as of yesterday. We've got over 500 videos on the site, so it's breastcanceranswers.com with an S at the end of answers. Mm-hmm. And we've had over 5.3 million views of our videos.
That's insane. That's insane. I mean, but congratulations
Thank
to
you.
you.
Yeah.
I mean, it just shows that there's such a need for something like that.
Yeah. People want good information. They want reliable information, but they want it in terms that are really understandable. So,
Well,
yeah.
and talking
fabulous.
about the terms of what's really understandable. Now, when we were talking, you were like, Lisa, I can't wait to share with the viewers some of the latest findings
Right.
and the research when it comes to breast cancer. And you said, you know what, everybody should be very encouraged about what you're going to say.
Well,
so what is so encouraging?
Well, first of all, we need to thank the general public and companies that support groups like Komen, because the kind of dollars that have gone into cancer research have been one of the things that have allowed us to really move ahead, and move ahead, frankly, more so than some of our other cancer treatments. Mm-hmm. And then we also owe a debt of gratitude to our federal government and the National Cancer Institute, because what they've been working on in Washington is a thing called the Genomic Roadmap, or it's a map. And if you recall, way back when we had the Gene Project, the Genomic Project,
I think we've got a
and
picture
here's
here.
the cover of Nature magazine, so the latest and hottest thing looking at the human genome is now to take these cancers from over 800 patients and begin to dissect them out and look at the individual genes. If we have the next picture, maybe the next picture, if we bring it up, will show you just the kind of complex reading of DNA that this article is filled with. This article came out a little over a week or so ago. And what's exciting about it, Lisa, is we've known for some time that there are 4 subtypes of breast cancer. Mm-hmm. And not to get real technical when we talk about luminal A and luminal B and HER2/neu, et cetera, but I've been saying to patients for years that breast cancer is a galaxy of diseases, plural. There's lots of different subtypes. And the beauty of this article in Nature is it's going now beyond sort of the 4 major categories and now drilling down into the subtypes with over 30,000 gene mutations being detected.
Okay.
And so what does that mean,
Right.
Dr. Harness?
So
what
layman's
does that
terms.
mean? Layman's terms. And what it means is we identify what switches are being turned on and what switches should have been genetically turned off. Then we potentially have an opportunity for more targeted therapies.
Okay, and so when you talk about the targeted therapies, we were saying this just yesterday, as early as 10 years ago, if a woman had breast cancer and she needed chemo, every woman basically received the same intensity of chemo.
Right.
And it's not that way anymore.
Well, a good example that we've talked about, and we've talked about previously here in the Morning Scramble, is Oncotype DX, which you had. Mm-hmm. And the value of the Oncotype test is looking at 21 genes, not 30,000. And with the Oncotype test, we get 3 types of recurrence score. A low-risk score, which means you don't need chemotherapy at all, a high-risk score, which means you do need chemotherapy, and then the intermediate risk, which we're waiting for the results of a huge national trial to tell us what to do. So in your case, as an example of the score that came back, it reinforced, in fact, that you needed chemotherapy.
And I was stage 2, so you would think, oh, you're stage 2, not in your lymph nodes, you don't need it, and I did.
Yeah, you did. Even because of your tumor size was a little bit bigger, and even though your lymph nodes were negative, you did, in fact, need the chemotherapy. But there's been a large group of women who have not needed chemotherapy, and the Oncotype DX has been really helpful in sorting that out.
Very helpful.
And as I've said in the past, that's just the tip of the iceberg. That's what's coming, and the article that was in Nature is unfolding that even more and more and more.
Well, now, and let's talk about the latest treatments and findings with radiation. I think we have a photo of you in the surgery room.
Well, if we can bring it up on the monitor, what we see on the monitor here right now is called the Mobitron. It's a R2-D2 of big linear accelerators that normally we have evolved in. Maybe we can flip to the next picture.
Yeah.
And
Here
there's
it
yours
is.
truly. We've done the lumpectomy now, and what we're doing now is putting a tube in place called a collimator to help guide the electrons down. Their next picture, if we can flip to it, and maybe we don't have time. But the point is, we're able now to deliver radiation therapy directly without harming the surrounding tissue. And so one of the things that's here right now is to be able to do 2 minutes of radiation therapy instead of 6 weeks.
That's huge.
It's huge. But I have to point out to the people who are watching at home who run off right away and say, oh my gosh, I want that.
Right.
It's still in a selected group of patients.
Oh, so is it available here in Arizona?
Yes, it is.
Oh, it is?
I believe that it is.
Good.
I don't want to speak out of turn, but I
Okay.
believe that it is coming or here in Arizona.
And you are doing this in Orange, California?
I am indeed.
Okay, and now that's so exciting because so many times, especially if you are stage 3 or 4, you get the chemo and the radiation, and to condense it down into 2 minutes versus X amount of
Well, and
treatments.
again, it's in a selected group of patients. It's not going to be for everybody, but it's a huge step forward.
Okay, yes, forgive me about that. But what about, I'm hearing more and more about women who are going through chemo before they even have
Good
their
point.
surgery. Now that's also one of the latest findings and how that can be beneficial.
Yeah, it's a big fancy medical term, neoadjuvant chemotherapy, upfront chemotherapy. Idea is to shrink the tumor down, but also the idea is to start treating the whole body. Because like yourself, when you have invasive breast cancer, the cancer has grown out through the walls of the ducts of the breast. You're shedding off cancer cells that are floating away, sort of like throwing grass seed out the window. And so we've known for 30 years you need to treat the whole body, but what we're finding now is there's also greater value in starting to treat the whole body first, shrink the tumor down, getting it going.
You're always just such a plethora of information, and I wish we could go on, and we're running out of time, and I know you need to catch a plane to go back to Orange to see some patients. Thank you so much for joining us this morning and for sharing all this new, exciting news. We appreciate it when it comes to fighting the fight against breast cancer.
Always my pleasure.
Thank you. All right, everybody, we'll be right back for our last segment, and this is a doozy. Take care.